Sir, can I ask you why are you cursing at police?
Man, the police and you too, man.
Shut the up. The press is just as bad as the police. You guys are all part of this. Get that out of my face.
I asked you why you are cursing at police and why you're here. Tell me why you're here.
You here? Why
Yeah,
the
fuck you, man.
You
Yo, come on, man.
Get the out of here. Get the out of here. Get the out of here. Get
I do all that stuff.
out of here. Get the out of here.
Okay, today we're going to talk about a particular political movement going on called the Black Lives Matter. And I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like Alex Jones here. It's going to sound very conspiratorial. But I feel like this is kind of like Occupy Wall Street. I don't think it's a genuine grassroots movement. I think there's a puppet master behind this. I feel like someone's pulling the strings. I feel like some great entity is funding these people.
I think it's really a front group for the Democrat Party, because if they can drum up a super big issue that really gets people inflamed, then they can get campaign donations.
Yeah, good distraction too. And think about it, race is still a very sensitive issue in this country.
Exactly.
And I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Oh, God, no. Especially now that we've been encouraged to talk about it so much.
Yeah. That's one... Go ahead. Sorry.
I think some of the more successful civil rights leaders in the past have discouraged making a big deal out of race, and now our current civil rights leaders, quote unquote, are making race such a central part of your identity. Rather than being human, it's being black before human, white before human, you know.
Yeah, it's very
Hispanic before human.
Very divisive. It's a perfect way of dividing everybody and pushing a narrative that's quite effective of getting people to shut up in a way. It's because you have supposedly the most suppressed group having the loudest voice here, and it's really hard to counter it. You have to really think hard and use the right strategy to counter it, because they have the invalidation arguments on their side.
Yeah.
They're like, listen, you're white, you're privileged, you don't know what it's like, you don't know what we go through.
And if you are black and you're not exactly marching to their drum, you're an Uncle Tom, you're a race traitor. You're
a coon Uncle Tom, you are the traitor, you're a Benedict Arnold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a turncoat. It's just...
Well, I thought Benedict Arnold was the good guy, according to these guys. Washington would be the problem here.
Oh gosh, yeah. Lord have mercy. And that's another issue for another time, right there.
Yes, it is.
Gosh, the division of historians. Anyways,
I think these groups. Think about Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and all these people that flock around the crisis like vultures, just hovering in the air, ready to pick the bones of the dead. These people don't exist without a crisis.
Yes, it's like batteries to them. They need stuff like this to happen. And it's this... What's our population? 300 plus million? It's bound to happen. There's bound to be some police officer out there who does some form of misconduct, or even he just messes up flat out. He panics. He pulls the trigger too quick and kills somebody. It's easy to find that with the amount of police officers and the amount of people we have in our country.
Yeah, and with the attitudes towards police officers, it can sometimes be a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it just, like you said, say this person that brought up, say the Bronx or South Central LA. and they're taught their whole life. Listen, the cops are out there hunting you down. They're quick to kill you and whatnot, and they are just unfair to you because of the high levels of melanin in your skin.
And to be fair, the grandparents of the millennials that are particularly participating in Black Lives Matter, particularly the millennials, the grandparents of those people had real good reason to be mistrustful of police.
Yeah, definitely. No one's arguing that at all.
And I think that's just been taught and carried down. Even though times have changed, the mistrust is still not solved.
So it's back and forth, and then obviously on the other end, the police are like, these people are rude against me. I'm gonna have to be stern and tough with them because they're criminals, all of them. Granted that's the case for some of them. I'm not talking about all police officers are like this, and not talking about all blacks are like this either.
No,
we're not trying to talk in absolutes here. We're talking about the cases.
The activist portion of what's going on right now.
Yeah. So when you have both these groups that have their guards up, and they're both, there's a tenseness in the air when they meet each other, things are bound to happen when the barrier of respect is taken away.
Yeah, absolutely. In the past, we talked about one of the core conservative principles being local accountability, local government, because it's accountable to local people. So we don't believe that the police are infallible. There's bound to be issues. It's never going to be clear cut. And I support things like body cams. I support things like dash cams. I support good policing. I don't know that I buy into the community policing, because it feels too much like segregation to me.
Yeah, it's like we're kind of going backwards here. So you want black police officers, black EMSs. It seems.
It seems segregational, and it encourages people to continue to live in single race communities.
Yeah, we want to go forward, not go backwards here.
Yeah, but apart from that, I do support a lot of the ideas that we're talking about doing to hold police accountable, because every level of power is corruptible. Absolutely.
And some of them do bring up good points, and we're not talking about those people, because there is people who are just a regular person
and identify with the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, not someone deep rooted in the organization. I don't know what their actual interest is, but I'm talking about the regular, average Joe.
Those guys tend to be quite agreeable.
Yeah, and they like I said earlier, they have some valid points, and I don't mind when they come to the table and they have an adult conversation, because it actually gets things done.
Yeah,
I think a lot of these. I don't like the way the Black Lives Matter, like a lot of these people, how the way they're handling and trying to get their point across by blocking traffic or
burning down a store. Looting.
What's that one song? It was like they were like, "What do we want? Police? When we want them, like we want them dead. When do we want them now?" Or something. I'm butchering it badly.
Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon.
Yeah, basically that. It's just like, I don't care how right your point is. If you're going to go up to someone's face in an aggressive tone and manner and point your finger and just spit in their face,
they're not going to be willing to listen.
Yeah, no one wants to be yelled at like that. I mean, like I said, no matter how valid your point is. I mean, there's even stories of them going into like live study halls during exam times, and they're just yelling and shouting and just getting in people's face because they don't stand up and shout with them. What is this, Nazism? Like, I don't understand it. And the whole... I think this stemmed from the Michael Brown situation, right?
Yep. Which is based on
a false narrative.
Yeah.
A big, basically, what did they say? He had his hands up. He had his back.
Surrendering.
He was surrendering, and he has back facing the officer, right? And the officer shot him like 8 times in the back or so.
Yep. And U.S. Attorney General, African-American U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder launched an investigation. There were 3 different autopsies done. One by the Ferguson police, one by the attorneys of Michael Brown's parents, and one by the the Justice Department, excuse me. And all 3 of them concluded that there were frontal shots. Some of them were kind of low and at odd angles, which implied that Michael Brown was actually charging Officer Wilson, which corroborates the stories of many African-American eyewitnesses that were there.
There was a bunch of witnesses they found, not just the one who was with him. Obviously, he's going to stick up for his friend.
Right.
And we have the actual footage of him beating up the store clerk and robbing the store. They're looking for this guy. They have a good description of him, and it's him. And they have the carton of cigarettes they were stealing. It's not like they just found him out of nowhere. Look at this big black guy. Let's go pick on him.
And let me take a moment to swat down a false narrative here too, because a lot of people get upset that when some of these guys get shot, we bring out a rap sheet of the things they've done. But that's only when there's been this claim of sweet innocence, and then we look into their past and go, really.
Yeah, they try to make him into some amazing martyr,
Or a pillar of their community,
Yeah, like, I hate to be blunt about this, but you never really see these situations where somebody's in a public library studying, and then some cop comes in and tears the wall down and just blasts him.
Like the Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, and they shoot him with like a rocket launcher or something like that. Something ridiculous like that. It's just...
You never see a black lawyer being shot to death.
Yeah. And because most of the time, most people are probably both respectful, and it ends up, non-violent.
Yeah, you don't see black doctors getting shot.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, most people, this doesn't happen with people, but the media, this is a perfect thing. They can just blow it out of proportion, just play it out and rush to judgment. And this is another thing. Our own president rushed to judgment on this.
Still talking Michael Brown here, just to clarify.
Yeah, he had a strong opinion on it.
Before the evidence was even in.
And I'm like, dude, are you trying to divide us?
And he still sticks to that narrative today, even though his own Attorney General at the time, Eric Holder, actually kind of proved the innocence of Officer Darren Wilson.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And it's just... I hate to bring this up also, because this is...
Let me...
Go ahead.
I want to backpedal for a second and just say that innocence might be a strong word. The justification for Darren Wilson. I mean, it's not exactly innocent when you take a life, no matter how justified it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it seem like it was a good thing.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
We lost a life.
Yeah, it would have been a much better ending to the story if he had, turned his life around and ended up curing cancer, I mean, this is the kind of things we want for people,
Yeah.
We don't want these people getting shot. We don't think people deserve to get shot for, for strong arm robbery. We don't think people deserve to die for this stuff, but you have to understand where it can logically lead to that.
Yeah, exactly. And, we're going to bring this up. But, if you actually look at the actual statistics out there from the FBI itself, the most dangerous thing for most dangerous individual for an African American person is another African American person. And, look at Obama's hometown. Chicago. I think since he's been president, there's been 3,000 plus deaths from guns and whatnot, and violence and all that. And, it's just, where is...
Bear in mind, also a separate issue, but some of the strictest gun control laws in existence are in Chicago.
But they kind of overlap. It's also the gun control, but also the people perpetrating the crimes.
Right.
The people who are at risk. The most people are at risk are the black people in those areas.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's really sad because a lot of them, because you don't know, there could be some amazing people there, but they can't because they're bogged. They can't get anywhere because they're bogged down by everyone else.
Yeah, and let's not forget that a lot of these places where black communities are suffering the worst have been under decades of Democrat rule.
Yeah, and it gives them no other opportunity, so they're kind of forced. I mean, it's like you have no good mentors. There's no good family figures. A lot of I hate to say this, but there's not a lot of good father figures. There's not a lot of flat out fathers in the home for these people. So they have to look at other male role models, and most of the time it's not a very good one.
No, and let's not forget that these places, particularly like a place like Chicago, a lot of people have given up in those places. Chicago is being deserted. There are people leaving it in droves. and the economy is tanking there. There's bad policy that's just killing jobs, and people not working are more apt to be out committing crimes.
Yeah. I mean, you have these, like my friend said earlier, it's like 50 plus years of democratic policies going on over there, destroying all business, raising taxes so high, making them just leave and go off to China somewhere.
And then the rhetoric telling them that their white masters won't allow them to succeed, and so why even try?
Yeah, definitely too. They told from a young age, you can't do anything. You have to have it handed to you. You have to become basically a major dependent instead of having self-responsibility.
Yeah.
And it just leads to all these problems. It's a never-ending cycle. It will be never-ending because there's no real solutions out there that are being implemented.
No, and I think not to sound too much like people saying like ISIS just needs jobs, but I think a good economic recovery could do a lot to combat.
Well, I agree with
the
you
situation.
Yeah, because like they said, that when ISIS needs jobs,
that's different. That's an
different.
Ideological.
This terrorist. They go across the world to blow themselves up or to do
Some
whatever.
of them are wealthy too, so
if that was the case, they would just be robbing people where they're at.
Right.
They would just be regular criminals, not causing massive terror across the nation.
That's ideological terrorism, but what we're talking about is actual crime from civilians.
Yeah.
But I do think a good economic recovery, lots of jobs, good schools, things like that can help to combat.
That would make better schools because they'd have more jobs and higher property taxes to make better schools to pay more teachers. More teachers will go there. It would just have a great domino effect.
See how this works? Everything hinges on a good economy.
Exactly. What's that old? I think it's from the Bible. It's like you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach him how to fish, he's set for life.
He eats for life. Yep.
It's so true. And I honestly believe that would, a good economic recovery of those areas and better policies would really. It's not going to happen overnight, obviously, but over time, maybe decades, it could reverse itself and crime would drop drastically.
Yeah, it took decades to tear it down to this position. It's going to take decades to restore it.
Definitely.
I think that I do believe that there is a lot police could do to reach out to the black community as well to ease these tensions. And I'm not saying they haven't tried, but I think that there needs to be efforts in schools, particularly. Well, I wouldn't even say in just black communities, in all communities, to just teach people how to act when encountering police. Because if the police are going to undergo all this training, we need to understand where they're coming from too. Yeah,
teach them basic respect. Even teach them some things. Teach them the Constitution. Teach them their rights. Yeah. There's a polite way they can say these things. They listen. I plead the fifth. I respectfully, officer, I'm not going to speak from now on.
Yeah.
The only thing they'll have to say, I plead the fifth. I know you're doing your job, but I'm not going to speak anymore.
Yeah.
Just leave it. Don't add an attitude after that and call them all the names in the book. It's not going to help your situation.
No. And look, I mean, if they're stopped you for speeding or whatever, and they want to search your car, you can demand that they get a warrant.
Yeah. Do that.
I mean, you can do that respectfully.
Definitely.
And if they do break that constitutional right, whatever you get charged with, you can easily have it thrown out.
Definitely.
Because they have violated your constitutional right.
Definitely. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say it like 1,000 times already, but, basically you just listen, officer, I respect what you're doing. This is your job, but I respectfully ask you get a warrant to do this.
Yeah. Look, I'm a firm believer that you have these battles in the courtroom, not the curbside.
Yeah, definitely, where you have a better chance
of not dying.
Yeah. To put it bluntly, yes.
I mean, it's and that's true for every citizen. That's not just true for black people. In fact, it's actually been proven now that officers are more willing to pull the trigger on a white man than they are a black man.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the statistics, more of I think it's like 50% more whites are killed by the police, but
granted, I mean, there's a larger percentage of white people, so it makes sense that there would be a larger proportion, but even out of proportion, it's more common.
Yeah.
But we only hear about the black cases because there is a sensitive racial issue that can be mined from it.
Yeah, and
They're mining from your emotional reactions.
yeah, and it's really sad because they really they target insecure people with this stuff. The people who are already insecure, they're already fearful because they've been brought with all this propaganda, and they could find anything. There's 300 plus million people in this country. They could find something.
And let me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Real quick.
No, you're fine.
You don't have. They don't have to look now. This day and age, you don't have to look that hard because everybody has a cell phone. They could upload something on YouTube and that's there. They don't have to do any searching for it at all.
Yeah, you're right. And look, I want to just say too, if you're considering these issues, and if you truly believe that Black Lives Matter, if you truly believe that that's the case, I want you to take a step back, examine the policies that have brought us here. Examine the things that the Democrat Party has promised for decades, and its affiliates, that's important too. The people that support the Democrat Party that have promised for decades is going to change.
Yeah.
And they're still asking for your money.
Definitely. Look at
So if I were you, take a step back, keep your money in your pocket, invest in yourself and in your family, and make yourself better because no politician is going to do it for you.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better myself. That's pretty much our point for this whole video. Just self-respect, responsibility,
Yeah.
and a better way to handle things instead of relying solely on the media, letting it get you so outraged you can't think for yourself.
Yeah, and respecting others too. You know, we all need to do better at that because I'm gonna be honest, we've done a pretty poor job over the past 10 years. It's been rough.
Yeah, it's an issue that's just going to take some time, and we hope and pray that over the next few decades it slowly gets resolved. And we're optimistic about it.
I think it will.